In this alternate history, it is what if Bavaria unified Germany, but this is part 1 where they unify South Germany. And so, let's say that in this alternate history, Bavaria starts to get close ties with the British, since they turn into both constitutional monarchies and want to do a certain goal. And so slowly but surely, they industrialize and actually decide to give free education. And by the way, these videos are made with no script, so I might slip up on my words. That's why I do that, just in case you're wondering, since I'm not really a true professional YouTuber yet. So anyway, let's say the first conquest is going to be Württemberg. And so begins the Bavarian-Württemberg War, and Britain just doesn't support them at all, since they already have plenty of industrial stuff. And so begins the war. Let's say first Bavaria takes a defensive stance, but begins to fall back a bit, taking on losses as Württemberg begins to move through Bavaria. However, some Bavarian troops were able to push in and start moving in and taking in many people. And slowly but surely, the people of Württemberg are pushed back from Bavaria. And after that pushback, they're able to begin to push into Württemberg. And slowly but surely, they began to make their way in, conquering stuff down here, matching up, and slowly but surely moving in to take Württemberg. And they begin to spread the idea of South German unity, and they promote that by saying, if you want Germany to survive as sovereign nations or a sovereign nation, we must unite. Since they spread the idea that any foreign power in the current state of Germany can just easily walk in and be like, you're my territory now. And since they're all fragmented, even if an alliance forms between all the German states, they're gonna lose since their armies are so, diverse and stuff like that. And so, anyway, with that, the people of Württemberg easily decide to let Bavaria annex them, since now, with the idea that if they don't unite, they could potentially fall, they decide to let them be annexed. So now, with New Bavaria, they begin a slight conquest. With South German unity spreading, the nation of, I'm pretty sure this is called Hohenzollern, at least on Victoria 3 it's called that, and I'm just going to take that for granted, but take with a grain of salt. And so the South Germans are almost unified. But tensions are growing with France, Austria, and Prussia, since Prussia also wants to unify Germany, and so does Austria. And France, seeing a rising German power, is scared that they're going to try and take Alsace-Lorraine. I think that's how I pronounce it. And so tensions begin to rise with other European powers, but they're too scared to fight since, they have this thing called Britain on their side, and they're scared they're going to be invaded. But Austria is probably fine, since I think nothing's going to happen, but they do know that potentially they could get a blockade over here. So they do prepare advances and prepare stuff just in case if it does happen. So anyway, the country of Baden is like, oh heck nah, they unifying South Germany, and so they decide to begin a surprise invasion. You set that to 2. They begin a surprise invasion into this nation, into this pretty sure part of Bavaria, since it's part of Bavaria and Victoria 3, I believe it is. But I'm taking Victoria 3 for granted, since hey, you never know what nations exist at this time. So anyway, they begin to push in and almost fully take it until Bavarian reinforcements. So just look at this. Look at how thin the border is. Bavarian reinforcements easily cross over and cut this off. and they begin to move in to take it over. And as they begin to take it over, the people accept them with open arms, since the people have just heard the news, since the Baden rulers were like, we can't let the people hear about this. The people might think this is a good idea. And so that news was banned in every part of Baden. But slowly but surely, Bavarian reinforcements arrive. They don't really care if this is taken. They don't really care if any of their attacks are pushed back. They know the people will do the rest of the work. Even if the Baden military is better, the people will speak. And so, even if they begin to be pushed back, like fully, not from here, could already be taken, but fully back to nothingness, the people will speak in Baden. So, military and war support began to go down, with the people of Baden normally assaulting troops, which caused tiny injuries, but cracks are starting to show in the population. And riots slowly begin that are protesting no war with Bavaria and German unity. And slowly but surely they're pushed out. And let's say this South German Union, full German unity thing is kind of like the 1848 revolutions, but this time in just South Germany. So slowly but surely, the Baden troops are pushed out of here as Bavarian advances slowly but surely make their way. Baden watches as their population descends, and so a small population take up the Bavarian flag and begin to form small militias and take different areas, and slowly but surely they connected to each other, and slowly but surely cut off different troops. But since the troops didn't really have a fast way of travel, probably like trains or something, but they probably were just destroyed by the partisans and many other people. Let's say the trains, if they had trains, were blown up, and so they couldn't arrive in time, and so the three strongholds of the Bavarian resistance grew and were actually able to cut off Baden troops here. And so as the days and weeks and months went by, Baden troops were slowly but surely being killed and being pushed out of here, and that's when they finally sued for peace, ending the war completely. And so, with the rise of Bavaria being a collective power, this nation, which I'm pretty sure is Hesse, decides to join out of fear, since they're like, nah, I ain't wasting my valuable soldiers on anyone. And so, in the year 1845, the South German Union is officially proclaimed. And that spreads throughout everywhere. The fact that South German unity has been proclaimed, frick. And Austria is like, oh heck nah, and is beginning to plan an invasion. But Britain's like, you won't do anything. But Austria doesn't care. See what happens next in part 2.